Okay, so here's what we're going to need. If whatever you choose to use on your bags, the Michaels bags actually measure 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and the Hobby Lobby glassine bags measure 4 by 5 3/4. We're going to use this one, so these are what we're going to go on the measurements to in this particular album. For the Michaels bags, I will actually put that measurement for your album in the description box, because I don't have that wrote down, I don't believe. But we know that the bag is a 4 1/4 by a 6 1/4. So your album, and I'm not counting the lip. This is 6 1/4 and then another 1/2 inch for your lip. But in order for this to go over, you're going to have to keep your album under the 6 1/4. I would probably, I've already wrapped that other up, or I would measure it. But like I said, I'll put this in the description box. But your album cannot be over. I would not put my album, I'd probably put it 5 3/4, which is what I think I did, by 4. 5 3/4 by 4 is what I made the covers out of, I'm sure. But this one here is what we're going to do in this particular tutorial. So, what you'll need is, you have got to get 2 pieces of copy paper that are just the 8 1/2 by 11. And I used 1 piece of ledger paper. That's just the regular size ledger, which is probably the same way, 8 1/2 by 11. So anyway, this is what I used for one album, was 2 pieces of copy paper and a piece of ledger paper. Now, whether you copy stain that or not, you know, that is just what I used in these little albums. And it ends up just being a nice size. Okay, once you have that done, if you're going to copy stain or what you're going to do, you'll want to cut your pieces down. Here is the ledger paper. It has to be cut down to 6 1/2 by 5 1/4. Okay, so you're going to cut it down to 6 1/2 by 5 1/4. The 5 1/4 is long, the 6 1/2 is across. Because what you're going to do on your 6 1/2 is you're going to fold it in half. Your 5 1/4 is going to be the length of the book, and then that just makes your pages the size they need to be. So cut your 8 1/2 by 11. You're going to cut it down to 6 1/2 by 5 1/4, and then you're going to fold it in half on the 6 1/2 inch side. Okay? So what that does, and you're going to do that on all your papers there, on your 2 pieces of copy paper and your ledger paper, or whatever paper you decide to use. And then I used 1 book page. Now my book page is, let's see what size it is. It is 5, and folded it is 3 1/4. So it'd be 6 1/2 open. So I went the whole length of that, and then it's just the size of the book page, which happened to be 5. So, and you're all right at 5. You don't want to really go over your 5 1/4 inch long. So anyway, this is what's going to make up the book. Now on your, oh, and you need 1 tag. 1 tag, 1 little manila tag. And this size is a 4 3/4 by, looks like 2 3/8. So, just one of the little regular size manila tags. I used this little waxed cord that I got at Walmart. It is very, very waxy. And the reason why I bought it was because you can bend it and it stays. And it's just super, super waxed. Now that's not a necessity. You could just use your, you know, you could just use your little hemp cord here is what you could use, your hemp twine. But I just give this for a little contrast. I already had it here, so it wasn't anything I bought special for this. It was just something I already had. And of course the little hemp cord, however how big you want your twine. I like this nice little thin twine, so that is what I used. You're going to need that. I'm not sure if I have wrote down. I used a yard of twine. I used the little white tag, which is this little white tag right here. I did use it. I used some corrugated cardboard, which all I did was simply, I had a box, and I just tore it up and peeled off some of the top layer there. You can see it. And just used that cardboard. I didn't buy any, I just used what I had. Easiest place to find boxes if you're looking for something like that, the recycling bins. I have like maybe 7 places around town where I live that I could go and get a box out of their little recycling bin. A lot of people do that for moving and things, and so if you can't find one, that's an easy place to find some corrugated cardboard to use. You need a small piece of lace. Doesn't have to be very big because it's only going to go so across the page, the one page. So 3 3¼ is what you need. A 3 1/4 inch piece size of lace. You need a couple of pieces of Christmas ribbon or some kind of ribbon that's going to coordinate with your book. Let's see, I've got 7 inches. I got 2 7-inch pieces of ribbon is what I used. You need a button or flower. Your small piece of lace. Okay, I think that's all you need. So save your scraps when you cut your paper down. We're going to use 1 piece of 8 by 8. Like I said, I did use the Tim Holtz. You're going to cut this piece of paper down to 7 1/8 by 5 1/2, and then you're going to fold it in half on the 7 1/8 inch side. So the pattern paper, I used an 8 by 8 sheet. You're going to cut it down to 7 1/8 by 5 1/2. You're going to fold it in half on the 7 1/8 inch side, and that will give you your cover. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange these pages. Let's see. I got to find my... Oh, and also you'll want these Noel cards or something. You don't have to have the Noel cards, but I used 3 of these. I did use 3 of these. I cut one down really small for the cover. It was just as big as this, but I chose a flash card that actually was small for the cover. These are just my pieces. Here's my twine. Here's the piece. You'll have 2 pieces of these. Once you cut your cover down, you should have a piece that's really long, the 8 inch that you have cut off, an 8 inch. And I cut that almost in half, or just I cut it to just to adjust it to what I need for my cover. So anyway, that's what this is. And I should have the other piece is here that I've already stitched. That I have already stitched a piece on. This is the piece. It come like that. I kind of cut it, and then I use this will go on the cover for the book itself because it is the flip. It is the inside, and then this will actually go on the glassine bag. The one that actually matches the cover will go on the glassine bag. Let's see. I used 4 of these. I take that back. 3 will go in the book, and 1 is for the cover. So there is 4 of those. And then you'll just need some of these little bits and pieces. All it is this is what I have cut out of the little collage sheet out of the 8 by 8 pad. I did use the bigger pieces. Will be, and this may be, I think this was even in that. So this is even in the collage sheet. But some of the bigger pieces I did use out of the ephemera pack. So, but on this particular book, all of it comes out of the collage. That's just in the book or in the paper pad. So anyway, these are just kind of some pieces that I have laid. This one here I stitched just a little piece on because this is going to go in my little pocket that's sewed on the page. This here I have oh, I've already wrote that on there just for you. There's my little white tag. This here is going to actually go in that pocket too, or I'm going to clip it on the page or something here I will do with this. I did use a little piece of parchment paper, just tore up, but you know, that's kind of option. This was another option for the front cover. What I did was I took a button. This was actually a canvas flower that looked like this, and I just tore off this layer and then took out these little things here and just laid it on one of these that I'd tore down. And we're going to use that on the cover instead of just the plain button. Here is my little piece of lace. Okay, and here is my little piece of corrugated, and you can see here how I have just tore some of that off. It's so easy to come off. I mean, it doesn't take anything to rip that off of there. So anyway, this is going to be my piece, and then you will want to get you some distress ink if you like that distressed look. And I just go over the cardboard like that. Pages are all distressed in my ink. I've used Fabri-Tac for the adhesive, and I also use, if something's really hard to stick, I will use this 450 quick dry adhesive. I really like this, but it is expensive. I always have to use a coupon at Hobby Lobby. That's the only place I can seem to find it. And I always use their 40% off. So if something's really hard to stick, this Hallmark 450 quick dry adhesive will definitely hold it. So, but for most things you can just use the Fabri-Tac that you can get at Walmart or any Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And of course the flashcards I've told you, and there is my ephemera pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying out my pages, which in this one I always seem to start with, I like to alternate. Like here is my plain sheet, here is my ledger, and then I will use a book page, and I will use my manila tag, and then I will go back to the white page, and then I will go to my ledger paper, and let's see, what did I do here? I have missed something because I shouldn't have another. Okay, so I have a feeling this goes here. Because I like to alternate. I don't like to have two pieces of the same paper together. So I have my copy paper, my ledger paper, another piece of copy paper, book page, manila tag, white copy paper, ledger paper, and then my white copy paper again. And the piece that I am missing is, let's see, and I thought I had it all together, guys, but sometimes, let me grab it. Here is a piece of graph paper, and it's really sturdy graph paper. It came out of actually a spiral bound notebook. And I just took and tried to cut as many as I could out of a sheet. You know, depending on how big your sheet is, you'll just have to kind of watch. I got 3 out of my little sheet. This is going to be like almost a 2 3/4 by 5. I just simply fold it in half, and then this will go clip on a page. So you'll need that piece there too. So anyway, whether you are binding this with the sewing machine or whether you're just going to do the pamphlet stitch, what I usually do is especially sewing, I will sew in my little pieces first. I kind of decide where I want them to go. I'll put the holiday here, so I don't want that on that page. But I'm going to probably stitch this on. So whether you glue it on or stitch it on, but if, you know, it won't matter if you're gluing, you can do it after you bind the book. But if you're stitching, I always suggest that you do that before you bind your book. It's just easier. On my book page, I will go ahead and sew my lace on because that is, or my ribbon. Oops, that is where my ribbon is going. So on this piece, I will sew this here, and I will be sewing it on the other one going this way. So I will do those both at the same time. This piece here, I will be stitching another piece on here, and then on the flip of that one I will probably put something going just across the page here, whether I stitch it on or just clip it on. And then on my last sheet of ledger paper here, I will be sewing this on. I will stitch one of these, whether it's the Noel or Holiday or what, but I will be stitching this on to make the pocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go stitch those on, and then I will show you kind of what I have done, and then we'll get